to the high noon stream for this Monday afternoon. Hold on, let me get everything set up here. I do apologize for the slight delay. I gotta, I can make any kind of excuse, couldn't I? But I'm going to tell you the truth. So we are doing the show now, starting week 2 here. By the way, we do the high noon report every Monday through Friday at noon. It's headlines, hot topics, current events. We run through all the events of the day. We do it list style. I tell you what it is. I tell you why it's trending or why it's making headlines. And I give you a hot take and then we move on. What we don't do on this show is we don't engage in divisive partisan politics. We don't do that. We try to just, cut through all of that stuff and get into other things and find other ways that we can irritate one another, because really that's what it's about. So we moved new studios recently. We are here in the Comfort Nest South. No, we're in the original Comfort Nest studios. Hold up. That's another issue I'm having here. Everything is to my left now. For the first 2.5 years of us doing the show, it was to my right. Everything was to my right. Now everything is to my left because I had to change some stuff around. Anyway, we've moved back to the Comfort Nest Studios, which are located in the beautiful, sprawling guest facilities here at the 1%er compound in Highland Park, Texas. The air conditioning had gone out in the guest quarters where the Comfort Nest Studios were located. And I had to go over to the big house. So we were in the big house for a while, but what we decided to do, because the future of this very structure is not promised. I'll put it that way. It's not promised. There's there might be some major renovations going on. So the decision was not to waste any money fixing the central air, but instead to use window units out here, which is something that I have not had experience with. Window air conditioning units. I have not had experience with that since the 1980s at my grandma's house. I mean, but here's instantly what I remembered. I might just want a window unit in my bedroom just because from here on out, it instantly puts me to sleep. Have you guys gone to sleep with like a window, that noise, that hum? I don't know what maybe it's just because of, the time period I was raised in, they were more prevalent. But man, there's just something so soothing about laying down in a cold, and don't kid yourself, man, those damn things get a bedroom freezing. Just laying down in a freezing bed. Anyway, so I'm kind of a Nazi about the window units here in the beautiful Comfort Nest Studios. We've got a big like 8,000 BTU one in the master bedroom. So that's going to take care of, the bathroom and the hallway and, the bedroom and all that. But then here in the studios, we got us a 6,000 BTU window unit that's supposed to be just cool in the studios. So what I've been doing is, because I'm a responsible individual, and let's be honest, this is self-serving. It is, what's it going to be, 105 today? Hold on, here in North Texas. Well, let's see, what is it currently? Let's see here. The current time is 12:10 p.m. here in the great state of Texas. It is 101 degrees. Okay, so it is currently at high noon. It is 101 degrees. Now, I'm not entirely sure what that means for the rest of the day. Hold on, let's see here. I know it ain't good. I know I was looking. Oh, yeah. Today's going to be 105. Okay, so here's what we need to be looking at over the next couple of days here in Texas. Today it's going to be 105. Tomorrow it's going to be 106. Wednesday it's going to be 107. Thursday it's going to be 106. Friday it's going to be 106. Saturday it's going to be 105. Oh, it's dropping on Saturday, so that's good. That's as far as the temperatures will predict. And look, I know you take that with a grain of salt, but what I'm saying is it's going to be hot for the foreseeable future. And knock on wood, man, the great state of Texas has been able to protect my right to electricity thus far. But I am worried. I am really worried about this extended heat wave that we are all going through. So I'm doing my part. When I am not in the big bedroom, I shut down that 8,000 BTU unit. I turn that bitch down. That's off. I don't need it. I got all my lights turned on. I'm basically living in the dark. I've got 2 key lights. That's it. I'm living in the dark. I got everything on. I am really, and again, total self-serving. I don't want to sleep in my car tonight. Okay. It was 101 degrees last night at 10 o'clock at night. I don't want to sleep in my car because that's the only place that will have air conditioning. So let's just, not because we're like, libtard tree hugging weirdos. Let's just turn some lights off today, okay? Let's just try and keep this to a minimum because we're all blasting our air conditioning. I know I am. And look, here's what I'm willing to do. When it's time for me to go into that room at the end of the day or whatever, maybe I'll go in there for whatever reason later. I will turn the air conditioning on and I will suffer through a couple of minutes of heat. But because I'm telling you, them damn window units, they cool down in a hurry. All right. So that doesn't explain why we were late. Here's why we were late. The dog knows how to open doors. I've gone through this a lot of times. The dog has somehow figured out that if she stands on her 2 feet and if she takes her paws and if she jiggles the knob, she can open a door. And she opens doors at will now. So now doors have to be locked. Now you got to lock them or else the dog. But I can't lock the bedroom door. Long story. But I can't lock the bedroom door. So the door, I'm trying to keep the hot bedroom that doesn't have the air conditioning on sealed off from the rest of the Comfort Nest studios. And we were late because the dog keeps going back in the room. I'll sit down, I'll put the headphones on, I'll get ready to start the show, and the damn dog will walk right over, get on her legs, open the door, and go lay down in the hot box. I don't get it. How are you guys? Adam's here, Leslie's here, Joel's here, Whitney's here, Jeff's here. Come on, everybody, climb in. Chat room is open for business. And I'm really battling some hiccups right now. They haven't started yet, but I'm battling them. I feel them. You know how we don't like that. All right, what do you say we get started? Here's what we do on this show. This is the first of 2 streams that we do here on the RadioMisfits.com. Radio Misfits for all your podcast needs and twice daily live streams. We do 2 here. We do this one Monday through Friday. It's headlines, topics, current events. It's me, just stream of consciousness for about 2 hours. Then we double back. I take a breath. So, sometimes a nap. It depends. It's emotionally exhausting doing this. It really is. I know it ain't ditch digging. Oh, you worked so hard. You sat in a big fancy leather chair and spoke in an air-conditioned room for 2 hours straight. Well, it is hard. That is hard. I'm sorry. I know it ain't what you do, but it is hard. And I pay the price for it. It's emotionally exhausting. We come back at 9 o'clock after I am emotionally recharged, and we do a show called the Radio Misfits Show. That's myself. That's James Parker. That's E. He's in Atlanta. He's in Atlantis. Not the mythological. By the way, he's in the Bahamas. He's at that water park, that big fancy rich people water park. It's like Wet and Wild, except they accept gold bullion. It's really nice. It's really nice. And he's there, well-deserved vacation with his beautiful family. So he's not going to be on the Radio Misfits show tonight. Trying to fill that spot. Thinking about somebody to bring in. Thinking about maybe Schwartz. Haven't invited him yet. If he's listening, hit me up. All right, and that show airs Monday through Thursdays at 9 o'clock. Frank says, Atlantis, cool water slides. Yeah. Wait a second. We got some breaking news here. Is Ed Silla bringing me breaking news? Oh, man, I don't want to get started on this. All right, let's get started right here, and then we'll find out what this breaking news is. It is the High Noon Report for 31st day of July, year of our Lord, 2023. July 31st is the 212th day of the year. 153 days remain until the end of the year. Hold on a second. I got to get the TV on. It's another thing, because I was dicking around with the dog. I didn't get the TV on. Usually I like to have a little news playing in the background. And now I got the King Misfit himself, Ed, pulling into the chat room, telling me there's some big breaking news that needs to be covered. Here's what we do on the show here. We give you everything about this day. That's how we start out. We start out with a little segment I call Erstwhile on this day. And we go through the history. Some of the finer points, the more interesting things that I think that I can rant on for a couple of seconds. We do that. Then we do birthdays. Then we do deaths. And it looks like we are going to start out with a death. Paul Rubens, a.k.a. Pee Wee Herman, dead at age 70. This is first broke here in the chat room by Ed, currently being reported by CNN. I don't know that he was sick. Let's see if we can eavesdrop on the live stream really quick. See if we can even hear this.
Friends, fans, and supporters, I've loved you all so much and enjoyed making art for you. And he has asked that any expressions of sympathy be made in honor of his late parents to stand up to cancer and any Alzheimer's and dementia foundations and charity organizations. But that is something that you don't always see, Brianna, is that when someone, doesn't die suddenly and they have time to plan, he had created and crafted this statement for his fans specifically. So that I also was really happy to see that just now.
Wait a second. Okay. All right. I'm still trying to find out the details here. You folks in the chat room, you might be ahead of me on this. So let me just quickly see. Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman, dead at age 70. He's left a note as reported by CNN, but was he ill? I don't know. We will find out. Let's see. Let's see. Variety says, okay, posted 20 minutes ago. Let's go with Variety. Variety tends to be very well connected. Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman actor, dies at the age 70 after private bout with cancer. There we have it. Okay, so he knew he was sick. I can tell you before I start to read this, I can tell you this is going to be a fairly big one for me. I mean, I'm just learning about it now. It's going to be a fairly big one for me. Pee Wee Herman, he's real important sort of in the history of my son and I. One of our favorites from his earliest, from my son's 3 years old. One of the first things that I introduced him to when he was very little. He loved the Yo Gabba Gabba and all that stuff. But I, went a little rogue, and I had the DVD collections of Pee-wee's Playhouse, the original Saturday morning cartoon that I used to watch in college when we were all hungover, and it was just the greatest. That in old Ed Grimley episodes. I don't know if you remember the Ed Grimley Saturday morning show. But he fell in love, and I would say that the absolute basis for my son's comedy, and he's a very funny kid. He's very comedy driven, wants to be a stand-up comedian. The very basis for his comedy is those earliest Pee Wee Herman, the zany. The dog just walked in. Get out! Oh, she just opened the door. The dog. What? You don't want to hear my nice little talk about the late great Pee Wee Herman and how artists sometimes connect with people in strange ways. Anyway, he was big to us. My kid's gonna be bummed. He's 14. He's not gonna cry because he doesn't have the sort of emotional attachment maybe that his dad does to that time and place. But it's pretty big. All right, let's figure out what happened here. Paul Rubens, the actor best known for portraying Pee Wee Herman, died Sunday night after a private bout of cancer. He was 70. Here's a quote now, and I believe this might be from Pee Wee himself. Yeah. All right. So this is a note that he left. He had cancer. He didn't tell anybody. So here we go. Again, another example. Look at this. Maybe I'm starting to think that maybe there is some semblance of a moral code among America's in the world's paparazzi. Because I didn't believe that before. But man, we have seen people be able to get away with medical stuff specifically. We've seen Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx was able to keep it from everybody. Madonna was able to keep it from everybody. Now we're learning there was somebody else. Now we're learning about Paul Rubens. He had cancer. It was not reported. Nobody knew about it. I can't believe that nobody knew about it. Somebody knew about it. It's just maybe, I don't know. Either the celebrities are getting really good with protecting their medical conditions, or maybe there is sort of this new thing among the paparazzi that we're not just going to jump on this. I don't know. It seemed like with the Jamie Foxx thing, people were really trying to find out whatever they could. Here's what Pee Wee had to say. Pee Wee Herman again. Paul Rubens here. I should probably put this up as a caption. Just so people know what we're talking about. Hold on, just let me get this. $70, huh? Pee Wee Herman? There you go. All right, we'll put that up. Just so we know what we're talking about here. Here is what Paul Rubens wrote in a note. Again, Pee Wee Herman, Paul Rubens' his passing was announced just moments ago. Please accept my apology for not going public with what I've been facing the last 6 years. 6 years. Wrote Rubens in a statement posted to Instagram after his death. He goes on to say, I have always felt a huge amount of love and respect from my friends, fans, and supporters. I loved you all so much and enjoyed making art for you. Last night we said farewell to Paul. All right, here's another quote. This is not from him, though. Last night we said farewell to Paul Rubens, an iconic American actor, comedian, writer, and producer whose beloved character, Pee Wee Herman, delighted generations of children and adults with his positivity, whimsy, and belief in the importance of kindness. This was written by Rubens' estate. Paul bravely and privately fought cancer for years with his trademark tenacity and wit. A gifted and prolific talent, he will forever live in the comedic pantheon and in our hearts as a treasured friend and man of remarkable character and generosity of spirit. Rubens began his career in the 1970s after joining the Los Angeles live comedy troupe The Groundlings as an improvisational comedian and stage actor. By 1980, he had launched Pee Wee Herman's Show, a stage production at The Groundlings centered on a fictional character that he'd been developing for years. As Pee Wee became a beloved comic figure, Rubens' show ran for 5 sold-out months, and he landed a special at HBO. Rubens also committed to the character in his interviews and public appearances. In 1985, he teamed with Tim Burton on Pee Wee's Big Adventure. Come on now. That's a great movie. That movie. There's a reason to rewatch Pee Wee's Big Adventure. There we go. I remember not liking Big Top Pee Wee so much, but Pee Wee's Big Adventure, man. Talk about a movie that just has lines that we just take for granted. I meant to do that, you know. Oh man. Anyway, let me get back to this. Okay. Let's see. Rubens' show ran for 5 sold-out months, and he landed a special on HBO. Rubens also committed to the character in interviews and public appearances. By 1985, he teamed with Tim Burton on Pee Wee's Big Adventure, the character's feature film debut, which was a critical and commercial success. Rubens returned 3 years later for a follow-up film, Big Top Pee Wee, helmed by Randall Kleiser. All right. And then it just goes on to say, okay, so Pee Wee Herman, what do we know about him? God, you know, I have to say, if we're talking about, if we're putting him in a category, for me anyway, bigger than certainly Captain Kangaroo. Who was that guy, right? That guy? I didn't watch that guy. But I don't even know that Pee Wee Herman gets put in that box. He wasn't, okay, he was doing a parody of a children's show for adults in a nightclub. And it just so happened that his performance was so pure. And that character wasn't trying to be edgy. If there was edge to the character of Pee Wee Herman, it was because Pee Wee, the character, innocently stumbled into the edge. There was never any kind of a wink or a nod to the audience. Pee Wee was pure, man. Pee Wee was just kind and sweet and optimistic and fun. God, it was contagious and hysterical. The gadgets. Do you remember the opening to Pee Wee's Playhouse? I mean, are some people too young? I mean, I don't know. We should watch this. This was so clever. I mean, this show was absolutely mind-blowing. No, I don't want that. Here we go. Yeah. Oh, come on, man. Just playing this is going to remind me of my kid when he was a stupid little toddler. He used to bounce up and down. We used to sing this theme. So strong. This was awesome. something. This was great as a 19-year-old who was still drunk from the night before at 11 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, waking up on some floor of some friend's dorm room in some university in the Midwest. This was great then. And it was equally great at 42 years old. At 7:30 in the morning, when I just got woken up by my 3-year-old, who, it's Saturday morning, he wants to wake up. So now we're sitting on the floor eating cereal, watching. Equally great this was. Oh, come on. We don't need that. Wow. And that's just so cool. That's just so cool. I'll probably spend a good 45 minutes at some point today on YouTube watching old Pee Wee bits. All right. That's the breaking news. Pee Wee Herman, beloved actor of a generation, dead at 70. Apparently, he was battling cancer for a number of years, and let's come to it, because that's, that's terrible. I don't know. All right, what do you say we get started with the show in earnest? We'll probably learn more about Pee Wee's situation as the day progresses, and tributes unfold and all that kind of stuff. But again, Pee Wee Herman, dead at 70 years old from cancer. All right, let's get started here. Let's do the first segment of the show, which is Erstwhile on this day. This is where we run through all of the different events that happened on this day in history. Not really. We run through the ones that catch my eye that I think I've got something to say about. So let's get started. On this day in 1874, I marked this because this is like, what? On this day in 1874, not even, it would be a thing. It would be impressive in 1974. 1874. On this day in 1874, Patrick Francis Healy became the first African-American inaugurated as president of a white university, and it was Georgetown. All right. Here's why that's weird, because Georgetown is a wildly Catholic university, which makes them extremely conservative, and not conservative in the ways of the American political understanding of conservative and liberal. No, conservative in the Da Vinci Code way. I mean, that's a big deal. Georgetown University made a black dude their president in 1874. Now, I think that because, there was no Skype, there were no Zoom interviews, and, a lot of times people just got hired based on, what was written on a paper. I think it's possible they thought old Patrick Francis Healy wasn't a black man at all, but maybe an Irish guy. I don't know. Anyway, on this day in 1874, that's impressive. Like I said, that would be impressive in 1974. Like a black dude gets named president of a major American university. On this day in 1940, and by the way, the black kids couldn't even go to Georgetown. He was the president of Georgetown when black kids couldn't. In 1941, on this day, the Holocaust, under instructions from Adolf Hitler, Nazi official Hermann Goering orders SS General Reinhard Heydrich to submit as soon as possible a general plan of the administrative material and financial measures necessary for carrying out the desired final solution of the Jewish question. Woo! Okay, so, that's heavy. If you know what all that's about, let that slosh around in your brain. Let that mix with the news that Pee Wee Herman has just died, and then head straight for a bottle of vodka. You have my permission. That was on this day in 1941. Final solution was okayed by Hitler. On this day in 1971, the Apollo program, I talked about this the other day when it was a couple days ago when we talked about the launch of the Apollo 15. Apollo 15 went up there. What did they do? They did it on this day. They rode dune buggies on the moon. That's right. They went up there with the lunar rover and they did donuts up there. Like it was a Dunkin' Donuts parking lot at 4 a.m. That was the Apollo 15 program. On this day in 1971. On this day in 1973. Okay, so this is a thing we used to do. And then I stopped doing it because really, what's the point? This is just bumming everybody out. I used to list the plane crashes that occurred on any given day because, shockingly, there are lots of plane crashes, especially before the year 2000. On any given day of any given year, it was my belief that you could find a plane crash of some significance somewhere in the world on any given day between like 1940 and 2000, right? By 2000, it seemed like maybe we'd gotten all the bells and whistles all worked out. And so things started to slow down. In 2000, planes no longer just fell out of the sky because, an engine fell off. We had gotten through those. Now it was like, now it was another whole problem we had, but still different. So I was going through lists of plane crashes every day, and I just got so bummy. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore because, I can't fly. I'm already a bad flyer. I don't need all this knowledge. But today, on this particular day, July the 31st, we're going to run through a whole bunch of plane crashes. This is not the day for you to be flying, people. On this day in 1973, a Delta Airlines jetliner crashes while landing in fog at Logan International Airport in Boston, Massachusetts, killing 89 people. On this day in 1992, Thai Airways International Flight 311 crashes into a mountain, killing 113 people. Also on this day in 1992, China General Aviation Flight 7552 crashes during takeoff at Nanjing Airport, killing 108 people on board. Also on this day in 1997, FedEx Express Flight 14 crashes at Newark International Airport, injuring 5, no deaths. All right. On this day in 2008, East Coast Jets Flight 81 crashes near Oswegan Danger Airport in Ottawa, Minnesota, killing all 8 people on board. Do not get in an airplane today. Today is not an airplane day. Today is just one of them days where you're like, you know what? I think I'm going to reschedule my flight. I think maybe I'll wait till after midnight. Jeez, that's a lot, guys. That's a lot of plane crashes for any one day. The reason we go through the history is because I like to think sometimes it can predict what's going to happen on this day. Were there any rhythms? Were there any patterns? Did a plane crash in 1941? And another one crashed in 73, and then 2 in 92, and 1 in 97, and 1 in 2000. Maybe if planes seem to go down on this day, we should be looking for that. The whole point of this, looking for rhythms, looking for all that. Also on this day, finally, in 2012, Michael Phelps breaks the record set in 1964 for the most medals won at the Olympics. Michael Phelps. And then remember, like a couple of months later, there was a picture of him at a frat party holding a bong, and we decided that he was the worst person in the world. Yeah. Dude dedicates his entire life to become the absolute best at something, and it's not even close. He's the absolute best. Somebody will beat him because records are made to be broken. But in this era of human existence, he is the absolute best. And he was holding a bong, and y'all tried to kill him for it. Y'all tried to take everything away from him. Now, here we are, 15 years later, weed's basically legal everywhere. But we tried to kill a true American hero, a decent dude, seemingly a really cool guy who was really good, who should have been, one of these heroes for the ages. Instead, now it's like, oh, but he's a drug addict. He was holding a bong at a party. I guess there were pictures of him smoking weed too. But so what? So what? He smokes weed. It's obviously not hurting him unless he's a soup, like from the boys. You know, he's got some of that compound V in his veins. All right, that's going to do it for erstwhile. Now we move into one of my favorite things, birthdays. Wana. These are the birthdays. Wana. People were born. Born on this day in 1911, George Liberace. I mentioned him just because it must have sucked being George Liberace. George Liberace is the brother of Lee Liberace. Liberace. Well, there was when you say, hey, Liberace, you're talking about Lee. You're not talking about George. George was born on this day. George was Lee Liberace's older brother and like complete pissant his entire career. Like just did carry the bags, George. You know, it was like that. And they almost had this deal. Remember the Gallaghers? Remember how there were two Gallaghers? There was Gallagher and Gallagher 2. And when the real Gallagher couldn't be, when the real Gallagher was touring the West Coast, Gallagher 2 would be touring the East Coast and they'd split the money. That was kind of what Liberace and George Liberace did too. George Liberace would go out and play. But he was a pianist and a violinist, though. He could do the violin thing, too. Anyway, there you go. George Liberace. Never in his life has he had this much time dedicated to him. Here's another guy. Now, this guy I want to talk about a little bit because he is fascinating to me. Every now and again, I like to say, there are some dudes in this world. And this, you know, I always say, like, Steve McQueen's a dude. Chris Christopherson's a dude. We talked about somebody the other day who is a total dude. I can't remember him now. Anyway, this is a dude. Now, it's a dude. It's a regional dude. It's a dude that a lot of you who are watching right now might not even know the name of, but I want to spend a moment talking about him because he was born on this day in 1912, and he has always fascinated me. He is a Chicago icon, a media giant in Chicago by the name of Irv Kupcinet. Irv Kupcinet was born on this day in 1912. Now, what you're probably saying is, why are you talking about him? Because this dude, I got to tell you about this dude. This was such a crazy time. First of all, when was he born? 1912. Okay. He played professional football. He was quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. All right. Then he got injured and he couldn't play pro football anymore. So he moved back home to Chicago and became a sports writer. And he had a column, and it wasn't just sports. He ended up being like, I'll tell you what he ended up being, but he had a column that ran for like 65 years. Like everybody, he was like his column became sort of a gossip column. Like if you were coming to Chicago, if you were Sinatra or whatever, you were coming to Chicago, you had to sit down with this dude. Everybody had to pay him the ultimate respect for, I don't know, I guess before social media, right? If you wanted a lot of people, you had to win over cities individually. So you had these weird television shows. And this is just what I want to show you. Irv Kupcinet had a television show, a late night talk show in Chicago that would sometimes, especially in the 1960s and 70s, beat The Tonight Show. It was a local show. It was just like, anyway, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't a national show. Let me show you this. Let me show you who he had, what his local shows looked like back in, I don't know, this is probably the 1970s or something like that. Here we go. Okay. So check this out. Remember now, this is a local Chicago show with some guy who isn't famous outside the area code. And look at this late night talk show. And this is why it would sometimes beat The Tonight Show, especially in Chicago. All right, here you go. Watch this. I'm going to tell you. Check this out. All right, so this is a local show
done today, but with you and all
right, this is actress Elizabeth Ashley. She's done a lot more work now that she's older. You'd probably recognize her as an older woman, but she was a young hot actress at the time. So don't be distracted by that.
Great comedian, a great performer is such a rare thing.
If we were starting, Elizabeth, that's very nice of you to say, but if we were starting, they wouldn't know anything about me.
All right, let me show you who's on this panel of this local talk show in the 1970s. You got Lucille Ball. 1977 Lucille Ball. Do you know how big 1977 Lucille Ball? Seated next to her is Otto Preminger. This is a local late night television show being watched by just people who can receive a TV signal from downtown Chicago. That's okay. So that's not all though. It's Lucille Ball, Otto Preminger. We've seen the actress Elizabeth Ashley. And then that dude sitting there is David Mamet. It's David Mamet, one of the generation's great American playwrights and film and screenwriters. Glenn Gary guy. Always be closing. He's the guy who wrote Steak Knives Are for what? Second place. Always be. Anyway, he's brilliant. This is amazing. Anyway, Irv Kupcinet, birthday today. Happy birthday, Irv Kupcinet. I don't know how you did it, man. You were like a nothing. You're just like a nothing dude. And you became one of the most powerful people. Oh, and they used to do telephone. Here's the other thing that bugs me about Irv Kupcinet. Okay, you didn't even hear from him in that clip because that was his thing. He would just sit there and go, tell me about yourself. And he would sit back and just the panel would take her. He never even asked any questions. The man had he was so limited with talent and he became so big and so popular. Also, his gossip column. He did something with the gossip column. We don't have this anymore. Now gossip columns are always, oh my God, can you believe what she was wearing? I mean, you know what I mean? It's very geared towards women and gay men. That's basically, the whole gossip thing. Oh my God, it's got that whole tone. Irv Kupcinet was a gossip, but he was different. He was like, hey, Robert Wagner walked into the pump room with a fine piece of ass on his arm. Guess who that was? It's like that. It was like masculine gossip. It was weird. I don't know. He was a crazy guy. He's just so lucky. No talent, couldn't speak, terribly inarticulate, and yet a freaking god. Born on this day in 1912, Irv Kupcinet. There's my tribute. There's my tribute to a long dead Chicago hero. Born on this day he was also supposedly a massive dick, like in real life, like he was just kind of a dick. He was a football quarterback. Then he just lucked into becoming an icon. He held the same job for like 60 years, was the most powerful guy in town. If you were Steven Spielberg and you came to town, Oprah Winfrey had to kiss his ring. There was like this big story about how Oprah Winfrey had to go to lunch before she was not allowed, but before they would really take Oprah Winfrey to the next level. The people in Chicago went to Cup and made Oprah go to lunch with Cup. Like Cup was the pope of who gets to be famous out of Chicago. That's how crazy important this guy was. Anyway, born on this day in 1923, Ahmet Ertegun. Ahmet Ertegun formed Atlantic Records. He is all of your favorite bands. He is one of the guys chiefly responsible for them. Fascinating book about him called Hitmen, about Ahmet Ertegun and a couple of the other, Clive Davis, a couple of his contemporaries there in the music business, the guys that really built rock and roll into what we now know rock and roll to be. Born on this day in 1923, Ahmet Ertegun, Atlantic Records. On this day, born on this day in 19, I've got I've got that air conditioning throat thing going on where I got to keep clearing my throat. Born on this day in 1932, Ted Cassidy, American actor, screenwriter, not to be confused with Richard Kiel. I always confuse Ted Cassidy with Richard Kiel. Why would I do that? Because they were the two giant mutant dudes that Hollywood used in the 60s and the 70s. Our birthday boy, for instance, Ted Cassidy was Lurch on the Addams Family. You rang. Remember Lurch? Big. That's Ted Cassidy. Happy birthday, Lurch. I mean, you're dead. You've been dead a long time, but happy birthday. Now, don't confuse Ted Cassidy, who played Lurch, with Richard Kiel, who played, he was in a lot of things. Richard Kiel, most famously for The Longest Yard. I think I broke his freaking nose. I think I broke that big giant, that guy. Also, wasn't he like Bond movie, Jaws? Wasn't he Jaws? Richard Kiel, not Ted Cassidy. Ted Cassidy was the other giant, weird mutant dude. Happy birthday, Ted Cassidy. Born on this day in 1932. Born on this day. How about this? A couple of this is a couple of umbilical twins. This is a nice little uterus. I wouldn't mind spending a little time in with these guys. Born on this day, the exact same day, exact same year, 1958. We call them umbilical cousins. It's Bill Berry, drummer of It's Bill Berry, drummer of R.E.M., and Mark Cuban. That's right, the Prince of Dallas, the Duke of Dallas. Let's call him the Duke of Dallas. That's it. I called Mark Cuban. I just officially gave Mark Cuban the nickname Duke of Dallas. Bill Berry, didn't his head explode? Didn't he have an aneurysm and he had to leave R.E.M.? I love R.E.M. I think it was Bill who got sick. Anyway, moving on. Born on this day in 1962, Kevin Green, American football player, played for the Rams, played for the Carolina Panthers, let his hair grow, did a little WWE. Kevin Green. He died in 2020. I didn't know that until I just, was looking at this now. Kevin Green, if I remember correctly, he was like not like a thing. Played at Auburn. So he played at a major college, but he was like a fourth round. I think he took a while to really. I know it was with the Rams where he broke out, but I don't think it was right away. I think he was like a fourth round pick or something like that, maybe even lower. I don't know. Anyway, Kevin Green, born on this day in 1962. Dead on this day 3 years ago. Wow, how did Kevin Green die? Don't you want to? No, I don't want to know. It just bum me out. Born on this day in 1962. Ooh, an umbilical cousin with Kevin Green. How about the great Wesley Snipes? Whether you're talking about Blade, whether you're talking Willie Mays Hayes, come on, Wesley Snipes. Tax evasion, that's another thing. I think I could do a Wesley Snipes draft, but nah. Born on this day in 1962, Wesley Snipes. Born on this day in 1963, Norman Cook, otherwise known as Fatboy Slim. Fatboy Slim, American DJ, musician, pop star, Fatboy Slim. Born on this day in 1963. Born on this day in 1965, how about J.K. Rowling? Sitting on that big old pile of Harry Potter money. She's cute too. When was she born? J.K. Rowling. Okay, so she's 4 years older than me. I could date her. I could totally date. I look at J.K. Rowling and I'm like, oh man, she'd be a good girlfriend. She'd be an awesome girlfriend. You know why? Because I imagine like here's how I would date J.K. Rowling. I would almost immediately ingratiate myself into her house, right? And she's probably got some big Harry Potter mansion like in the woods in Scotland or something. You know what I mean? It's like something really cool. So I'd ingratiate myself in there. And look, I would know, here would be my problem because I gotta stay in the J.K. Rowling's orbit. And the fear would be she would grow tired of me because I'm not the world's greatest boyfriend. I'm just not good at it. I'm just, I'm kind of self-centered. So my fear is that she would grow tired of me. So we would start out romantic and then it'd be really great. Cause I am so good for the first 6 months. Oh my God. I'm like the greatest guy in the world for the first 6 months. So she would love me. And within those 6 months, I got to make it so she lets me come live in her castle. So I'd come live in J.K. Rowling's castle. That's right. I'm going to stream of consciousness this entire plan for me to get some J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter money. So she can invite me. I'm going to have to lose weight. I know that. I'm going to have to get in shape. And then I'm going to have to figure out a way to like bump into her. And then I'm going to have a line. All right. So there's a lot of pre-planning, but we're talking about once we're past that stage. Once I get admitted into her house, I set up camp in a room somewhere far away where she is, right? So that it's just, we're not seeing each other a lot. Because I know the relationship's going to end anyway, but I want to stay there. I want to stay there when the relationship's over. So at that point, then I just start like moving into friend mode and I become her best friend. And then I get into her head. And this is where like the cult leader stuff starts to work. Then I just kind of own her head and she can go have other boyfriends and stuff. That's fine. I don't care. I just get to keep living. I know there's a lot of work to do on this. Long story short, happy birthday, J.K. Rowling. And I would date you. Born on this day in 1978, Zach Brown. Love Zach Brown. Born on this day in 1979, B.J. Novak. Love B.J. Novak. Ryan from The Office. Credit where credit is due. Ryan, came into The Office and he was just sort of the side character. He wasn't really a big character in the very beginning. He was Ryan the Temp. He was just someone they brought in for an episode and stuck around. What I think a lot of people didn't realize is that Ryan, B.J. Novak, was responsible, one of the producers of The Office. I mean, he was a behind the scenes guy first and foremost. Then he got in front of the camera. Character was a hit. We love the character of Ryan. It became bigger and bigger. And by the end of the run, it was a principal cast member. BJ Novak is a dude, man. BJ Novak, he's a writer. He's a director. He's a creator. He's not just an actor. He's incredibly talented. When you look at what he has done outside of The Office, I can't tell you how many times I've been watching a movie and it written by BJ Novak. I'm like, Ryan from The Office? He's quite a dude. He's a talented guy. BJ Novak, born on this day in 1979. Born on this day in 1982. How about a little DeMarcus Ware love? DeMarcus Ware. Yeah. Dallas Cowboy great. Absolute menace out on these streets. Oh my God. I know two people who have gotten into business deals with DeMarcus Ware. That's all I'm saying. No, I'm not a fan of DeMarcus Ware. Yeah, Don't get into business with football players. Because first of all, they think they can beat you up. They think that even if it goes bad, I'll just break his head. You know, they're like idiots. A lot of them are man children. DeMarcus Ware, my understanding of the situation is one of those types. So don't go into business with these people. Be professional athletes, please. I don't need to be misquoted. Professional athletes. DeMarcus Ware, born on this day in 1982. Born on this day in 1998, 25 years old, celebrating his 25th birthday. You ready for this? 25 years old today. Ready? Want to feel old? Here we go. Rico Rodriguez. Who's that? Manny from Modern Family. That's right, Manny, the little boy Manny from Modern Family is 25 years old today. Happy birthday, Manny. All right, let's move now into the section of the show we call These Are the People Who've Died. These are the people who've died. Do we care? We know two things to be absolute truths in this world. One, everybody dies. Two, there are a lot of assholes. Therefore, assholes die every day. We look at people who've passed away on this day and died on this day. And we determine whether or not we actually care. Because, you know, we like to pretend we care about everything. Pee Wee Herman today, very much care. Pee Wee Herman died today, very, very much care. That would be a no-brainer. That would receive a preemptive, we care. But not everybody gets that. So let's start out. 1875, dead on this day, United States president. The 17th one we had, Andrew Johnson. He replaced Lincoln. He was Lincoln's vice president on the old Unity ticket, and he was a complete piece of garbage. Do we care? No, we don't. Andrew Johnson, arguably the worst president in the history of these here United States. Dead on this day in 2012, American novelist, screenwriter, public intellectual, social critic, Gore Vidal. Gore Vidal, famous for, used to do TV shows. Back in the 1970s and 60s, there was this whole class of celebrity that we elevated to celebrity status here in the United States. And they were known as the public intellectual. They weren't. Now we have Instagrammers. Now Kim Kardashian would be, look, they're not famous because they can sing, dance, or act, but they're famous and on talk shows and people know who they are because of the things they say. These public intellectuals. We don't have it anymore. Now we've got Instagrammers and YouTubers and all that. And to be fair, we didn't have it for 20 years before. The world was taken over by idiot influencers. But that's what Gore Vidal was. Gore Vidal was an author, but he was also a public intellectual. He would come out and be a guest on talk shows to speak on any of the pressing issues of the day. Oftentimes, he would be teamed up with William F. Buckley, who was sort of his antagonist, his rival. As it turns out, they were friends in real life because it's all a shell game. But man, oh man, did they have some moments. Gore Vidal, do we care? Not really. Because that's how this whole thing where everybody's got to be screaming at each other started. You can trace that right back to American television in the 1960s and Gore Vidal versus William F. Buckley. And now we've got Fox News and CNN and everybody screaming at each other all the time because that worked in 1967. Dead on this day in 2015, Billy Pierce, American baseball player, sportscaster, Chicago White Sox legend. Boom, pointing at White Sox material. Chicago White Sox legend, the great Billy Pierce. Boy, oh boy, if it was 1959, let's say 1959 since the Sox won the pennant. 1959, Saturday afternoon, and you got a matchup between the White Sox, Billy Pierce, and the New York Yankees, Whitey Ford. Oh, my God, we're talking old head baseball nirvana right there. Billy Pierce, do we care? Yeah, we do. One of the greats, one of the great White Sox. Billy Pierce, dead on this day in 2015. Dead on this day in 2015 as well. Oh, man, here's one preemptively. We care. Rowdy Roddy Piper. Rowdy Roddy Piper died on this day in 2015. And I got to be honest with you, it couldn't have been too much earlier than that. Maybe 2014, 2013. I've had Rowdy Roddy Piper on my show a couple of times. My show with Kelly, a couple of times. A really nice man. There was a famous appearance on our show at the old 105.3 with Rowdy Roddy Piper, where he came in, and I jokingly say I made him cry, but I don't think I made him cry so much as he was about to cry anyway for any number of reasons. But on this particular day, and again, if he died in 2015, this would have probably been just a couple of years, maybe 2000 and no, it would have to have been 2010 because it was still at 105.3. So 2009, 2010, somewhere in there. He was a mess. It was like 11:30 in the morning, and he was drunk and he was disheveled. Still sweet. Roddy Piper was a nice man. He was a good man, a nice man. But there was something going on. And I had talked to him. We were talking about the WWE and their treatment of wrestlers. And with recently, a wrestler had died. I don't remember what the exact, maybe it was one of the Hearts or something. A wrestler had died. And Roddy Piper started telling us about it and talking about the situation, what was going on behind the scenes. And he just broke down and he became a blithering mess. And it was, you understand it, but it wasn't so recent that you could understand it still being raw. Like the story that he was reacting to. I mean, I remember in the moment thinking, didn't this happen like a year ago or something? You know, it just seemed like, okay. Long story short, when the interview ended, I remember me and Kelly looked at each other and we went, there's something wrong with him. He's not doing well. So there you have it. No surprise that he didn't live to a ripe old age, because the last time I saw Roddy Piper, he was an emotional mess and he did not look much better physically. Roddy Piper, dead on this day in 2015. Do we care? Yeah. Yeah, we do. He was a good dude. Dead on this day in 2020. Preemptive. Yeah, we're doing a preemptive. Alan Parker. Ladies and gentlemen, do you guys know who Alan Parker is? Alan Parker is sneakily one of the best filmmakers of the last 50 years. He's one of my favorite. Alan Parker draft! All right, with the very first pick in the Alan Parker draft, we are going with The Commitments. You ever seen The Commitments? I love The Commitments. It's one of my favorite movies. It's the story of a bunch of Irish blues singers. They're like a bunch of white Irish kids in Dublin, and they form like a blues band, a rhythm and blues band, and everybody thinks it's crazy because this is such a good movie. The Commitments, first off the board in the Alan Parker draft. Number 2, Midnight Express. Holy shit. Midnight Express, man. When that dude is on the airplane and he's strapped with all the opium and he's waiting for the plane to take off, and then suddenly he sees all the military trucks pull up and the guys jump out of the trucks with the guns and his heart is beating and that music is playing. Oh my God. Midnight Express. What a horrifying film for me to see at like 8 years old. Let me tell you something. I saw Midnight Express when I was probably 8 or 9 years old. I have never tried to internationally deal opium. Never. Say what you will about the scars it may have left in its wake. I have never tried to smuggle opium through Turkey. That's number 2, Midnight Express. Number 3 in the Alan Parker draft. Number 1 was The Commitments. Number 2 is Midnight Express. Number 3, Mississippi Burning. Oh, man, that's such a good movie. Mississippi Burning. Number 4, you ready to have your mind blown? Pink Floyd, The Wall. Have you ever seen the actual full-on concert on a big screen, Pink Floyd, The Wall? I saw it in a movie theater once, and it was like, I don't even like Pink Floyd, and it was like, whoa. This is crazy good. Number 4 in the Alan Parker draft, Pink Floyd, The Wall. Number 5, we're going with one of my favorites, Bugsy Malone. All right, that concludes the Alan Parker draft. The Commitments, number 1, Midnight Express, number 2, Mississippi Burning, number 3, Pink Floyd, The Wall, number 4, number 5, Bugsy Malone. What was Bugsy Malone? Bugsy Malone was an acid trip of a 1970s movie. This is, again, one of the earliest movies that I watched with my kid. Me and my kid watched Bugsy Malone when he was like 6 years old. It's a gangster film set in the 1920s. Now, it was made in 1975 or something like that, Bugsy Malone. It was set in the 1920s, a gangster film. Except here's the twist on this movie. All the actors were children. They were playing adult roles, but they were all children. Scott Baio played like the mob boss, like a 10-year-old Scott Baio before he was Chachi. I think Elizabeth McGovern was in it. Oh, it is so funny. In the guns, and it's a gangster movie, so they shoot guns and all this stuff, but the guns all shoot like donuts. I don't know. It's crazy, man. There were no rules in the 1970s, and whatever the hell the no rules created, it made this movie. And it is so enjoyable. Bugsy Malone, number 5 in the Alan Parker draft. But we are going to invite some undrafted free agents into camp this summer. That's right, because Alan Parker made a shit ton of amazing films. This didn't make the top 5. It would have made number 6. I really wanted to talk about Bugsy Malone because Bugsy Malone was so weird. But easily number 5 in the draft could have been Shoot the Moon. Diane Keaton, Albert Finney, a movie that was made in like 1980. Again, I'm like 10 years old. I've got like 3 channels to watch. Somehow this stupid ass movie comes on WGN in the middle of the afternoon and I'm watching it because, again, 3 channels. I'm 10 years old. I'm watching Alan Parker Shoot the Moon with Albert Finney and Diane Keaton. And it's about a family going through a divorce. Again, I'm 10 years old. There's alcoholism. There's drug use. It is just, again, no rules in the 70s. 10 years old, I'm watching Shoot the Moon. I, to this day, love that movie, Shoot the Moon. It is such a good movie. He also did Fame. I'm gonna live forever. Fame, coming into camp with an invite. Birdie, Matthew Modine, Birdie, that was really good too. Not a lot of people saw it. Angel Heart. Come on, Alan Parker's Angel Heart. Robert De Niro, Mickey Rourke, Lisa Bonet, about the devil, and oh my God. How about The Road to Wellville? Road to Wellville was good. I believe that was Tim Robbins. Evita, didn't see it, but it was a big movie, so he can come to camp. Come See the Paradise is one of his very early films. I think this was an early 70s film. Amazing movie. Come See the Paradise gets invited to camp. How about Angela's Assage? I know a lot of old Irish ladies that love that movie. And we'll wind it out with the Alan Parker draft with The Life of David Gale. That was the Kevin Spacey one. I think he was a molester or something. I don't know. I saw it. I liked it. I don't remember it. Alan Parker, do we care that you're dead? Yes, we do. We absolutely do. Also dead on this day in 2022, the great Bill Russell, NBA Hall of Famer, player, coach, Boston Celtic. Great Bill Russell, dead on this day in 2022. Do we care? Yes. Yeah, we absolutely do. All right, guys, that's going to do it. That's about all we have as far as the prerequisites for today's show. Let's move into all of the headlines, all the topics, everything that's happening in the world. Now, we are at the end of the month, so I would like to now remind you that this show runs on your tips. We sure could use some help, man. We are about... It's the end of the month. It's the end of the month. If you can drop anything, we could use the help. Again, we've gotten through July. Now we just need to make sure that we can get through the next month. So if you want to help and ensure that we've got some shows coming up here in the next 30 days, now is the time. Tip ahead of time, So do that. Cash App, Venmo. Thank you. Appreciate it. And again, the names scrolling at the bottom, they were the people that have been tipping that got us through the last month. I'm going to redo that tonight. I saw that somebody had tipped on Friday. Thank you so much. And I'll make sure that we get that all updated. And I do appreciate you. Again, I don't put any last names and I don't put dollar amounts. I don't think it needs to be a contest. I just appreciate that anybody that wants to help out the show is helping out the show. Those of you who really help out, you know who you are. And those of you who just help out because you're decent folk, you know who you are as well. Yeah, no slight to any of them. Thank you so much, though, to all of you who have helped over the time. All right, let's get into the hot topics. Let's get into all the things that are trending. What are we looking at here? All right. What is with this? What is with the? Look at this. What is this? What is it? I just realized. Look at that nail. That nail is far too long. Typically have good nails. My nails are typically good there. Why is that? Anyway, not to be distracted by weird things. But now I'm going to be distracted by it because I want to bite that nail. I really do. Hey, I'm a human being. What do you want from me? I can't be distracted with a nail. So there we go. Now we got it started. Now look, now I'm just going to peel it back. And now it's hanging. Oh, great. Now I'm going to cut too close. Nope. All right. And into the little trash it goes. There you go. Just my kid. My kid. My kid is an absolute barbarian when it comes to his toenails. Clips his toenails. I know. What do you expect from a 14-year-old? Clips his toenails. Doesn't care. Just let him fly, Dad. Bam. He's like, clack. He clicks one. Shunk. Shunk. If it was like slow motion, you would just see it go shunk. Shunk through the air across the room, land on the carpet. He didn't care. He didn't pick it up. Dude, what are you doing? Clipping my toenails. I go, you got toenails all over the place. A dog will eat them. He literally said that. No, he won't. All right, let's get into the hot topics. Let's run through all the things that people are talking about. There's a couple of political ones here at the top, and I'm trying to slow roll myself into them, but they got to be mentioned, so let's run through them. Today in a Florida courtroom, Carlos Del Valle, he was the guy named alongside Trump in the latest round of Mar-a-Lago indictments. Today he was arraigned in court. He didn't plead guilty or anything. I don't even know what this was, whether this was a perp walk or whatever. He is the Mar-a-Lago head of custodial services. He's also been given, there's a couple of other like titles that they've been giving him. Originally he was the head of custodial services, but then everybody ran with Trump's making a janitor do his like stuff, allegedly, according to Jack Smith's indictment. So that was a bad look. So now he's being called property manager, which I guess is a fancy way to say head of custodial services, but whatever. So he showed up. Here's what we know about this dude. He's in the family, as they say, because he's been named and they're bringing charges against him. Now, a bunch of other people were mentioned in the new indictments. They were not named, though. They were called Trump Employee 1, Trump Employee 2, and Trump Employee 3. Carlos Del Valle was the one that was named. Now, what can we draw from that? We can draw that Employee 1, 2, and 3 are working with the government, and they are not being charged, and their identities are being protected. This Carlos dude, Charlie, as apparently he's known, Carlos, he's on team boss, right? So he seems to be taking. He's gonna get hit. He's gonna get hit with this stuff, and we'll see. You know, here's what we know. He was arraigned on charges that he's indicted on charges that he was trying or attempting to wipe away evidence at the behest of the boss, as he is known to have said. Who's the boss? You know, I guess we'll find that out, right? He was arraigned today. He was released on $100,000 bond. It was a personal signature bond, which means that he didn't need any money from anybody to to bond himself out. A personal signature bond is you can't get out of jail unless you have $100,000 bond. Well, really? $100,000? Well, no, if you can come up with 10,000, we'll let you out. Oh, really? But it's $100,000 bond, but if I come up with 10,000, you let me out? Yeah. And if you can't come up with that, you can just sign. We'll just let you out. But we ain't letting you out until you get $100,000. See how bullshit? It's nonsense. Wait a second. It's a $100,000 bond. So I stay in jail unless I can secure at least 10% of that. And then even if I can't secure 10% of that, you're still going to, why don't we skip that middle part where I bother my friends for $10,000? Why don't we skip that part and you just let me sign this thing? And apparently they did. So he's been released on a personal signature bond. His next appearance is August the 10th. He can't leave Florida, and he is still actively working. So there you have it. There's the story of Carlos Del Valle and all that's happening right now in a South Florida courthouse. That happened earlier today. He, of course, is the man named in the new indictments against former President Trump and the whole Mar-a-Lago documents investigation. Now, switching over to Fulton County in Georgia. Fulton County, Georgia has erected all kinds of barricades and all kinds of things around the courthouses and their public buildings. Most people believe that this is in anticipation of a Fulton County grand jury bringing criminal charges against Trump for election tampering and election meddling and all that kind of stuff. I mean, read into it what you want. They're building. What do they think's going to happen? Are they worried that he's going to be indicted and supporters are going to riot, or are they worried that he's not going to be indicted and that I don't know. Anyway, that's what's happening in Fulton County. Also in Fulton County, a judge this morning threw out President Trump's legal team's attempt to disqualify the district attorney down there, Fannie Willis. They last ditch effort. They went in there and they're like, "Hey, Judge, sorry to get you out of bed. Just wanted to ask, will you throw out her case?" And the judge is like, "No." And they're like, "Okay, Judge, we had to ask, and we had to charge $20,000 an hour to do it. Took us 10 hours to come up with this strategy. So yeah, it's like $200,000 right there. Thank you, Judge." Because that is the other big story that's going on. The only people who are getting filthy with all of this is are Trump's lawyers. Trump's and whether or not they're getting paid, some of them are not. I know that there have been a number of his lawyers that are now turning up on television, happy to talk about him because he hasn't paid them. But there was a story that circulated yesterday. I believe it originated in the New York Times about political action. One of Trump's political action committees is who's paying all of his legal fees. And it's upwards of $40 million at this point. $40 million. And there's an example of where some of that money is going. His team had a hearing today with a judge, a total nonsense hearing that was immediately thrown out by the judge, but whatever. As long as people are willing to send that $10, $20, to that fund, they're going to keep doing this. They're just going to keep wasting your money. Oh, I'll be happy when all this is over. That's happening in Fulton County. So a lot going on. Yeah. Okay. That's it. See, I thought CNN had some new news on this, but they're just doing the story I just told you. Judge rejects Trump's challenge to disqualify D.A. Willis. Okay. Moscow's taking it in the chops this weekend. A whole bunch of drone attacks. Do you remember the first one that happened a couple of months ago? And they were like, came from Ukraine. These are Ukrainian drone attacks. And we were all, and Ukraine was like, what? Us? Well, now they're happening all the time. And now Ukraine's going, yeah, man, that is us. Yeah, Meffer, you're damn right, that is us. And they're doing some damage, man. Moscow never expected that they were going to get bombed, right? Moscow thought that they were 300 plus miles from the border. They didn't think they were in any danger. Moscow's taking a bit of a thumping. Oh, and by the way, this is the other thing. I was watching some little clip today from some Moscow news reporter, and they were translating it. And God only knows, I don't speak Russian, so God only knows if they were translating it accurately, but you get what my concerns are. The news reporter called them Ukrainian terrorist drones. And I'm like, terrorist drones? You invaded their country. They were just there. And you were in Russia, and then you weren't in Russia. You were there, and you were blowing stuff up. And now that they're retaliating, they're not terrorists. This is war. I'm sorry. We gotta get this word right, because terror is a very specific word to our current culture. All right. This is not Russians. These people are so duplicitous. A judge in Arkansas has done something that I think is pretty cool. Something you really don't expect from judges in Arkansas, and that is cool rulings. A judge in Arkansas, Huckaboo Sankaders, the chick, the chick that looks like, I don't know, she'd fit nicely in a Grimace suit. She looks like Grimace. I'm sorry, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. If you painted her purple, she would look like Grimace. She's the mayor of Arkansas. Mayor of Arkansas. Why not? Let's call it that. She's the governor of Arkansas. And she got this rule. She got this law passed where librarians, people who make like 35 grand a year, they live with cats in a funky apartment, and all they want to do is read Jane Austen novels. Librarians. She passed a law that said librarians can go to jail if by accident their library has something that's bad for a kid. All right, here, I'm going to read it to you. Anyway, the judge said, yeah, no, that can't be a law in this state. So there you go. There's a win. You're not going to put some sexless 45-year-old woman whose hair is pulled in a tight bun, who wears a lot of browns and beiges and glasses with a chain on it. You're not going to put her in jail because some kid snuck out a National Geographic with tribal women boobs, and that's what the law was. If a child checks out a book from a library that is deemed to be not right for a child, how about we don't have X-rated shit? Well, but see, that's the problem. It's not X-rated shit. They got problems with PG shit. And that's where this comes in. What is appropriate for a child and what isn't. So anyway, that's a sliding scale, and it's very dangerous, and was probably going to end with a lot of these women that I've been describing, these cat ladies, these sexless librarian cat ladies, with them going to jail, or at least being, having their night ruined by having to go to the police department and get a mugshot. That's stupid. These women don't hurt it. These are librarians. Judge blocks Arkansas law allowing librarians to be criminally charged over harmful materials found in their library. Arkansas is temporarily blocked from enforcing a law that would have allowed criminal charges against librarians and booksellers for providing harmful materials to minors, a federal judge ruled Saturday. Now, when you say it like that, I think that all of us can agree. There's not one of us here that wants children to be able to check out harmful materials from the library. We can all agree on that. What we can't agree on is how to define harmful and what is harmful to kids. So when you have a rule that says, you can't be harmful, who is deciding whether or not the old lady in the pantsuit with the bun and the chain glasses, who's deciding whether or not the material that she let that kid check out is harmful or not? And who decides whether or not she gets let off in handcuffs? That's bullshit. You can't do that. So there you go. Good on you, Arkansas. I expect so little from you, Arkansas. I really do. I expect very little from the state of Arkansas. This was a good one. Good on you. Good on you, Judge. I don't know what this next story is about, but everybody's buzzing about it. Seems to be a big deal. Seems to be a big deal among the fancy set. Me, I don't get to travel much these days, so I don't understand the whole visa passport thing going on with Europe. But it is. It's trending. So apparently, starting in 2024, there are a whole bunch of European countries that are now not going to let us, Johnny America, just travel wherever we want in Europe. Now, I've traveled in Europe in my younger days. I don't remember it being now. I don't remember it being free. Like I had to get a passport. Like there was already a passport that needed to be involved. You know where I can travel freely without any sort of identification? Louisiana. I can go from Texas to Louisiana. Hell, I can go all the way into Georgia, maybe even Florida. I don't know. I don't know what the new laws are down there, but I can go anywhere I want in these United States, and I don't need any kind of documentation other than probably a driver's license if I'm driving. And that was never the case in Europe. That was never the case. It wasn't like if you went from in other words, I always had to have my passport. Like when I was going from Ireland to like Amsterdam, right? Or something like that. I couldn't just show my driver's license, my state of Texas driver's. I couldn't just go, no, I needed a passport. So now they're saying, we don't just need a passport. Well, now we need a visa. And I don't even know what that is. But this has to do with a whole bunch of stupid shit that's going on in Europe about Brexit and stuff. Like England's not, you know what? Anyway, developing ... I've taught you nothing. You do know that there is some conversation going on about passports and visas. I don't know the difference between a passport and a visa, so we're moving on. Kanye's back on Twitter. Yeah. I don't know what that means. And yes, I'm still calling it Twitter. I'm not going to ever not call it Twitter. I'm always going to call it Twitter. And you know what? I can also tell you this. I used to instinctively sign online. Like I'd sign online and the first thing I do is boom, click the little Twitter icon that's in my saved bars, at the top of my little laptop. Click on Twitter. A little blue bird. I'd look at him, boom, I'd hit him. Well, that blue bird is gone now. And now it's this big menacing X. And that has caused me to use Twitter less. Like I said, I used to do it instinctively. Just like, oh yeah, now I don't do it instinctively because I see the X and I go, oh, that's different. Oh, that's right. It's different now. Oh, I'm going to try Threads. I mean, that's right. I was going to try Threads and I should go to Threads. Threads is the one I want to start using. I've been using Twitter less and less since they changed over the logo. So he's letting Kanye back on. Well, it's fine. It's fine. You wonder, Kanye's been quiet for like the last 6 months, hasn't he? They darted Kanye. He took one in the neck. He went down. They put him in like a zip up bag. They threw him in the back of a pickup truck and they flew him somewhere for 6 months. And all of those people that surround Kanye, the ones who are equally invested in his $1 billion status and all that kind of stuff that went away after Adidas and after, all of his crazy, weird Nazi rantings. All of those people took him somewhere in the jungle, in the woods, in the mountains. I don't know where it was, but they spent the last 6 months fixing him, I think. We'll see, right? He's back on Twitter now. Let's see what kind of nonsense Kanye gets into. Because I fully believe that the reason we haven't heard from him in 6 months is because he went through some serious electroshock stuff. He went through some stuff. He is far too lucrative. He is far too many people need him to keep cranking out the hits and keep making money and all that. And they don't need things like Adidas pulling out and won't do business with him. That's Kanye's back on Twitter for now. But I'm telling you, he went somewhere. They did some work to him. They may have cloned him. Who knows? They may have just killed the real Kanye, and actually now we've got a different Kanye. Let's go with that. Hey, Qsters, let's go with that. Let's go with this is a new Kanye. Yes, a new Kanye, a non-crazy one. This is the clone. This is Kanye 2.0 without the crazy. Unfortunately, we'll probably find out that it makes shit music. It makes terrible. Be ready for the next Kanye single, a cover of Bust a Move. That's Kanye 2.0. That's the kind of stuff he's going to be cranking out. Let's see here. Do I want to do the kill 'em all thing? I don't know if I want to do that. I don't really want to, man. So there was a video at a Trump rally, and they talked about some dude. They were talking to people in line, some Trump fan, and the Trump fan goes, kill them all. Yeah, he was talking about libs and Democrats and, all that globalists. And he said, just kill them all. And that's fine. Well, whatever. People are. Not everybody has the same 4 cornerstones of morality that I have, right? Nor the ones that you have, whatever yours may be. Hopefully they're strong and they're sturdy. This person just, thinks so little of human life that he's willing to go on camera, kill them all. Does he really mean that? I don't know. I mean, cooler heads, right? If he was actually in a position of power, would that be the tactic that he would take? Or is he just using hyperbole because he's on camera and excited? I don't know. Whatever. Piece of shit thing to say. I'm pretty sure about that. Even the people around him were like, what? What the fuck? Really? All except for the interviewer who asked him, the question to begin with. The interviewer from this crazy, and it's one of these crazy news networks that is, funded by Trump PACs, but made to look like it's real news, but really it's just our right-wing news or something. I don't know. You got to be careful of this shit, man. Got to be careful of this shit. It looks like news. I think I'm learning stuff, but no, you're not. You're being indoctrinated. It's propaganda. It's not news. You need to know the difference. Not everybody can tell the difference. It's hard. It's hard to tell the difference sometimes because a lot of times propaganda agrees with your core beliefs. It's who you are. That's what it is. They're reinforcing things that maybe you didn't always feel comfortable talking about publicly. I don't know. Cornerstones. Why I would never. Cornerstones of my moral upbringing. Love over hate, right? Always. That's a moral cornerstone. Fucking love over hate. Good over bad. Same thing. Just right. That should be an absolute. If your parents didn't drill that into you, teach you right from wrong, that's an easier way of saying it. Love over hate. Another moral cornerstone. Give a shit. Give a shit. Give a shit, and not about things, about people. Give a shit about other people. Stop thinking, this is difficult for me because I am a world-class narcissist only child. So these are all things that I've had to deal with throughout my life of therapy and learning about what a broken piece of shit I really am. But on the way to recovery, so that's good. Give a shit. Live and let live. How is that a hard one, right? That should be, if you got, what do you got? You got 4 moral foundations. Live and let live. Let other people have their thing. Whatever, it doesn't affect you. Mind your own fucking business. Live and let live. And I guess the other one is that Americanism. What is Americanism? The belief in an equal playing field. The belief that this country is about any of us. We can all grab a shovel and we can all potentially dig the biggest hole. That's what Americanism is. That's what an equal playing field means. So moral foundations that might stop you from getting online and going, fucking kill them all, like some maniac Nazi in 1939 whipped up into a frenzy at some big football stadium by Adolf Hitler. Love over hate, give a shit, live and let live. And America is supposed to be an equal playing field. There you go. That's how I handled the whole angry Trump guy. I just talked about, other choices we could make instead of just fucking hating and being filled with rage. I get it. My kid is oh my God, you guys. So if you were listening on Friday, maybe you heard, I was very excited about this weekend's rematch of mini golf. I am a tremendous miniature golf player. Yes, there will be. The poets in the future will write sonnets about my my abilities on the mini golf court. I'm good. I'm sorry. I can putt, can't drive. I can't play golf. I suck at golf. I can putt on a mini golf course. That windmill does not intimidate me. I can go right through it. So I'm good. And our whole life playing together, my son and I have been whipping his ass at mini golf because I don't let him win. I don't let him win. Get better. And he's a terrible sport. So it was also always an opportunity to teach him about not being a crybaby bitch, which he is. I love him. I mean, he's So last weekend, as I was telling the story on Friday, last weekend, he and I went to Top Golf and we played mini golf and he beat me. And he beat me legitimately. He whipped my ass. He was draining them, man. I don't know. Sometimes you just have that moment, right? And I told you on Friday that I was very much looking forward to he and I winning at mini golf or playing mini golf again. My rematch. Because I was going to beat him. I was gonna kick his ass. And we went, and it didn't go so well. There was a big fight. We only got through 9 holes. Anyway, that's how the weekend of mini golf went. It was a silent ride home, but then we always make up. We made up. Everything was fine. But man, it did not go well. I was so excited. I was so darn excited. And look, I will take some of the responsibility. I will take some of the responsibility for maybe not reacting as well in the moment when everything started to go sideways. Like maybe I didn't have to end zone dance quite as much as maybe I was, knowing that he's a poor sport, knowing that it's volatile, that the situation is volatile with his 14-year-old ego. It went bad. It went squirrely. It was one of those deals where I was walking like a good 30 yards ahead of my kid through the parking lot because the Top Golf parking lot is really big and we were parked way in the back. It was Saturday night. And so I'm just walking, right? And I'm like, he better be following me. He better be. And then I turn and I look around and he's on his phone going like 1/4 my speed. It was one of those nights, but we made up. Everything was fine. All right. See, look at that. I just filled that time that I would have normally played the video of the guy from the Trump rally and then the dude. Oh, that's the other part of it. The interviewer at the Trump rally. He agreed with him. When the guy goes, kill them all, the interviewer goes, yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, that's literally what he said. Well, not literally, because he said, yeah, I absolutely agree with that. That's what he said. So now that guy's got to apologize. Now that guy's out here apologizing. As a matter of fact, I think we got his apology. Maybe we should watch that because that's the real funny thing. This guy, where is it? All right, here he is. I guess this is the one where he retracts it. Let's see if we can. You know what? No, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do the story. I feel like, man, it's such a fun story and I could riff on it, but nah, I don't want to riff on it. I don't want to riff on this story. Here's one that I do want to riff on. The Hollywood strike is still going on. The Hollywood strike is happening and Sarah Silverman is pissed. And she is letting a big secret out of the bag, a secret that apparently they'd hoped to keep from the public, except Sarah Silverman now knows about it, and Sarah Silverman is talking about it on her Instagram, and it's blowing up. So the Hollywood's on strike, right? And the threat from the Actors Union, SAG, the Screen Actors Guild, is that we're going to shut you down. All of these big money projects that you've got, we're going to shut you down. We ain't doing anything this summer. So they've shut down Hollywood. There are no actors. There's already a writer's strike going on. So nothing new is being written to be produced. And there are no actors to say the lines anyway. So the whole thing is shut down. But here's what Sarah Silverman has discovered. And it's true. Because the Screen Actors Guild has answered her charge and is saying, yeah, that's true. That's happening. The Screen Actors Guild has given certain Hollywood studios and certain film productions permission to film during the strike because, well, it's big stars and it's really big budget movies. And honestly, the only people that we're going to hold out from getting paychecks are the people who work on weekly TV series. And do you see the problem? Working actors. And don't just think about people who have series. Think about the girl who is a waitress diner, who is in the Screen Actors Union, who can't even go out for extra roles now. Now she's taking extra shifts at the diner. She's actually thinking about not giving an actor and moving back to Nebraska and giving up on all of this because this is such bad timing. That girl is not allowed to work in anything. She's not allowed to go on auditions. She's not allowed to take roles. But Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep are still making their $200 million epic for Warner's that was pre-negotiated before the strike went down. The big studios went to the Screen Actors Guild and basically made a deal behind everything that is bad about unions in America seems to be being made public right now in relation to the Screen Actors Guild. They made deals. You're supposed to be strangling them to bring them to their knees so that they will do right by the people you represent. But no, they're not doing that. They're not going to bring them to their knees because they don't want to bring them to their knees because who knows? It's absolutely insane. So Sarah Silverman is rightfully pissed. Oh, and the Screen Actors Guild is saying these are independent films. No, they're only independent. They're only independent because there's an actor's strike. If there wasn't, then they would be attached to a major studio, but they're attached shadow-wise. These are what some comedian said in the comments. He said, yes, these are all independent films that will have the greatest distribution in the history of independent film, because as soon as it gets time to put them in theaters, all of a sudden they're not going to be independent anymore. They're going to be in the Warner Brothers distribution network or the Cineplex Odeon A-list. So they have a right to be pissed. Cardi B is trending. Why is Cardi B trending? Did you see this video? We're going to watch this video. Cardi B went nuts on stage. So Cardi B's performing. I don't know from Cardi B. I saw her do a hot wing commercial with Offset. I think I saw her do like a wing commercial and I thought it was really funny. And I'm like, they seem like nice people. And now I don't think they seem like nice people. Now I don't think that Cardi B seems like a nice person. She was appearing in Las Vegas. She's playing some Sunday fun day pool party kind of event there. She's a big name, so it was probably a big concert. She's there in Vegas and it's like 105 degrees and she's getting really hot. And wait, is this hold on, I need to make sure. All right, let's just watch this. First of all, look at her. She looks great. That's a pretty nice dress she's got on. Watch what she does. Let's just play this through. She just whipped her microphone at somebody in the crowd. Okay, watch that again. There she is. All right, so, okay. Just whipped it. You know how heavy that microphone is? And she just whipped it to somebody in the front row. I can't see any real damage. Right now she knows she fucked up. Right now she's like, okay, I didn't control my emotions properly. And I just screwed up. That's someone who did not control that urge. She had the urge, and she went with it. And now it's dawning on her. And now she's like, oh, shit. Probably $500,000? Who knows? All right, so what's the story with this? There is a story behind it, and it makes it even more complicated. Apparently, in the moments preceding the incident where she threw the microphone at the person in the crowd, she had been compelling the audience to spray her with water. She was, as a matter of fact, I believe we have that. Let's see, do we have that one too? Yes, here we go. Okay, so we have that. Is this from TMZ? Yes, TMZ has this video of Cardi B. Here, let me make sure we get it. Now, this is what preceded that. Cardi B begging the audience to. Okay, hold on. Doosh. What? Well, this ain't it. Is this
Keep it under
ad?
the rug. When you sweep a baby under the rug, you see.
What the hell? Where did the one go? Oh, hold on, guys. See if we can get this. TMG just rolls you into the next video. Okay, here's an ad. Now we got 13 seconds. Oh, it'll be worth it. Anyway, before she whipped that microphone and hit somebody in the front row directly in the face, she had been begging the crowd to throw water on her. She's like, it's hot, throw water on me. Okay, good. Here we go. Now, right. So this is what happened just before the mic incident.
Bitch, I'm dying. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Tell me some water again, bitch, because I'm hot. And give me
But she's asking people to splash her with water, and they are all throwing their water at her.
Put that shit in my pussy, bitch. Come on. Yeah, bitch.
Sexy lady, let me hear you say,
Let's fucking go, bitch.
I guess we made strippers pop.
I need some fucking water. Somebody smash me with water, bitch.
Big man in the background thought she wanted actual water, and he reached down into the bucket, grabbed her one, and then she doesn't want it, and now people pour water on her.
I'll see you later, shit.
Wait, bitch, that was too fast, bitch.
That was flash,
Wait, a little bit more right here, bitch.
Okay, anyway, there she is. So she is compelling the audience to throw water on her. She walks over to the other side. The first video that we saw, her chucking the microphone, that came after someone threw their drink. That was the problem. All these other people apparently were throwing water, and this person threw their drink. She reacted by instantly just taking her microphone and throwing it at it. And of course, as is always the case, the drunk driver never gets injured. It's always the passenger. She didn't hit the person who threw the drink. She hit an innocent bystander square in the face, bridge of the nose, right there with the microphone, like a couple pounds of metal. I mean, that's not, and she whipped it. Fun fact, the person who threw the drink is mortified, apologetic, is so sorry, just kind of got a little bit confused because she wanted people, he thought it was fine, and then he threw. Anyway, there you have it. That's why Cardi B is trending. An incident there. She's gonna have to write a check. She's gonna have to write a check for some, young girl whose nose she probably broke. I'm sure she's gonna need some crazy. What are you gonna do? Hey, how about this? Home Improvement star. And I say star lightly, Zachary Ty Bryant. Do you know who this is? This is one of the kids, right? This is one of the Home Improvement kids. Zachary Ty Bryant has been arrested in, where is he? Where was he arrested? Oregon. He's up there in Oregon. He got arrested for knocking his girlfriend around. This is not the first time. Apparently, he's done this like a number of times in the past. So I was never a Home Improvement fan. Home Improvement was like a family-friendly sitcom that debuted at a time. Like, I was already in my early 20s when it debuted, so I wasn't watching those kinds of sitcoms. I would have looked at Home Improvement like, ugh, that looks lame. So I don't really know who this Zachary Ty Bryant is, but I know that he likes to knock women around, and is he the older one, right? Because wasn't there one? There was one that actually had like a kid's movie career. Jonathan Taylor Thomas. That's the one I know. Why do they all have three names? Why Zachary Ty Bryant and Jonathan Taylor Thomas? Jonathan Taylor Thomas was the one who actually had the career. Zachary Ty Bryant, he seems like he's just up there living in the Pacific Northwest beating women. It's got to be tough. I don't know what's better. Think about this. All right, imagine that you're Zachary Ty Bryant, right? Imagine that you're one of the Home Alone kids. Not Home Alone, Home Improvement kids. And obviously, the guy who plays your dad is Tim Allen. And maybe you have some kind of a relationship with him, exchange birthday texts and that kind of thing. I don't know how close you are. But he's still a guy, he's still kind of powerful, so that would be good. But no, you didn't do that. What you did was your career went nowhere after that. You were 12 years old, 13, 14, I don't know, was he 15, 16, whatever. He was a teenager, right? So the career goes nowhere after that. You feeling like a has-been. I mean, your formative years, your puberty years, you were on a hit TV show. You were the coolest kid in high school and all that shit. And now all of a sudden it all goes away. And here's where I think a lot of these people make the mistake. They move back to their hometowns. Now, I understand the allure of this. I understand, like, he moved back to Oregon. A lot of times when young stars fizzle out, they move back to wherever it is they come from. And I don't think that's a necessarily good thing. Here's why. If you just drop somebody who is famous in any way, shape, or form into a town where there are no famous people, like into the middle of, wherever, they're going to be the famous person. And I get that's the allure, right? You go back to your hometown. I used to be on TV. That's the guy who used to be on TV. It makes you special, but it also makes you stand out. And it also is more of a constant everyday reminder that you're not that anymore, that you're back in your small town. You're not living in some Hollywood Hills mansion. You're back in your hometown. You used to be something. People are watching you. You get all of the negativity of being somebody who's in the spotlight because you're the famous guy in that town. They're all watching you. Ugh. You get DUIs, you knock around a few girlfriends, and all of a sudden it's making the local. You know what I mean? It's not good. Here's what he should have done. These people need to stay in Hollywood and learn how to edit. These people need to stay in Hollywood and learn how to focus a camera. They need to stay in Hollywood, and once their childhood acting career is done, they then need to learn a skill because they've already got one foot in the industry. They've got connections. They've got a way. If they can just, hang lights for a shoot, you can get gigs and you can have a nice life. But they don't do that. They decide they're going to go back to their hometown and open a bar. And then, they end up knocking around a couple of women, spend a couple nights in jail, and pretty soon they're the butt of a national joke. Zachary Ty Bryant, home improvement star, has been locked up for beating up his girlfriend. Here's a truly stunning story that comes out of Hollywood. A bouncer has been stomped to death. Man, I was talking about the 4 cornerstones of my personal morality, which, by the way, have led me to an incredibly difficult life, but so a bouncer at a club on Sunset Boulevard in Los Angeles got pushed out into the street when a fight broke out among the people in line and among the people waiting for their car. He fell back into the street off the curb and then was surrounded by the fighting group of people. And the fighting group of people stomped him to death. Stomped him, kicked him, punched him. He was just the doorman. He was just the doorman trying to break up whatever fight was going on. And this mob of human beings became so incredibly animalistic that they looked at a human in distress laying in the street and they curb stomped him. Get the fuck out of mobs. Stop joining in with gang think. Are you fucking kidding me? What kind of a person? We're going nuts. Look at him. Let's crush his head. Really? You've got a problem. If you are the kind of person who can do that, and they say that here, I'll read you the story. Nah, I don't want to read you the story. Anyway, there you go. Bouncer got stomped to death. What the fuck kind of person? What kind of group think is that? Stop it. Start thinking on your own. Bunch of people start stomping a doorman to death. Help the doorman. How about that? But then they'd stomp me. Okay, so you're a coward. So you're a coward. Not only are you prone to groupthink and suspending your own free will, but you're also a coward when push comes to shove. Here's a funny story. The number 1 song on the iTunes Christian and gospel music charts is a drag queen anthem. Yeah, that's right. So here's the deal. Apparently there is this drag queen. What's her name? Flammy Grant. Oh yeah, I get it. Like Amy Grant. She's a drag queen, and she likes gospel music, and it's kind of been aced out by the industry, I guess. But she's working with this person in the Christian movement to put out this. She's got a song, and they're trying to. I'm going to read you the story because it's a bit. This is the reason she's number 1 is because internet did its internet thing and made her number 1. A drag queen is topping the iTunes Christian chart, much to the chagrin of religious activists. After Christian musician and writer Sean Fike criticized drag queen Flammy Grant, her fans boosted her album and song all the way to the top of the iTunes charts. Drag queen Flammy Grant's album. She's a drag queen. The drag queen Flammy Grant, her album Bible Belt Baby, released back in October, is suddenly the number 1 album on the iTunes Christian charts and gospel charts. Her song Good Day peaked at number 1 alongside the album for a period. So this all has to do with 2 other Christian artists arguing with one another because one of the Christian artists dared to work with this drag queen artist. And in response to him being criticized for working with the drag queen artist, the drag queen got every drag supporter in America to download her song off the iTunes gospel charts. And now it's number 1. The fun we have. Nothing is real. Everything is a possibility. So just, Double down on whatever crazy beliefs you have. Hey, world's oldest man died, 127 years old. Nobody's quite sure if he really is the world's oldest man. He was 127 years old, doesn't have a birth certificate. They've been taking his word for it for years and years. He's down there in Brazil, and he's dead now. 127. What was his name? Jose Paulino Gomez. He died at 127. Wink, wink, maybe. I don't know. The picture I saw of him, he was wearing like a fedora and black wraparound shades and a black suit, and he looked really cool. And they're like, look at him at 127. I'm like, that dude is 85. That dude looks great, which is a funny thing to say about somebody who's 85. But 127, you think that's the crypt keeper, right? That's like got to be way different than 85, even though we think 85 looks pretty bad. Anyway, he looked good. And I'm like, that dude's not 127. And now people are going, he might not be really 127. He claims to have been born in the 1890s. Well, specifically, I guess, 1896, 1897, something like that. I don't know. Anyway, he's dead. And now people are going to argue over whether or not he truly is the oldest person in the history of the world, because that would make him the oldest person in the history of the world. But again, no birth certificates back there in the favela he was born on in the hillsides of Brazil back in 18 whatever. There is a woman alive in France. It's always France. She's 115-year-old lady in France. She's right now. She's got the good news today. They were like, Grandma, wake up. Great-great-grandma, wake up. Yeah, because it's probably great-great-grandchild. Some spinster great-great-grandchild. She's like 46, never been married, taking care of great-great-granny. Great-great-granny, wake up. You're now the oldest person in the world. That's got to be a feel-good, is it? I don't know. If you get to that point, maybe. Yeah, I guess you don't want to be the oldest person in the world, but if it's a possibility, you'll take it, right? Why not? Well, I'm already here. Here's another story that should get a big duh out of all of us. Daredevil has died in Hong Kong. Yeah. Kind of goes with the job description, Daredevil and whatnot. Daredevil Remy Lucidi, he's 30 years old. He's a super douchebag. I mean, I'm looking at a picture of him. He looks like a douchebag. He looks like a Bobby Bottle Service. You know, he's got he uses this to pick up girls in clubs. Yeah, I'm a daredevil. I scale buildings, idiot. I have no regard for these people. You know this. You know, we've gone through this story before. These people, what do you expect to happen when you see somebody, walking a tightrope between two buildings? You should expect them to fall. All right. The trick is that they don't fall. That's what you're like, oh, wow, look, that trick. That's a trick. I get it. It's not supposed to happen. So when they fall, you should go, yeah, that's what we expected. Like the people that saw, again, I go back to Siegfried and Roy, the people that watched the tiger eat Roy. Or was it Siegfried? I don't know. The people that paid and got to see the tiger eat him got to see the one thing that everybody else who has ever paid to see Siegfried and Roy were denied. And they knew that it was a possibility. That's why you buy a ticket to see Siegfried and Roy. You just shouldn't be able to do that with tigers. I don't know. I think that tiger might eat them tonight. Nobody got to see that, except for the people who were at the show where the tiger ate Roy. And some of those people wanted their money back. So when you see a daredevil, when you hear a story of Daredevil Remy Lucidi, 30 years old, who died this weekend, this falls directly into there are assholes in this world and everybody dies, and sometimes assholes die. This guy's an asshole. This guy is just an asshole. He climbs up on top of tall buildings and then jumps off them for his own Instagram glory. And that's a very dangerous thing to do. And the reason that he gets all those hits is because people like you and me, we click on the account and we go, well, you shouldn't be able to do that. Wow, look at that. He was able to do it. Except sometimes he's not able to do it, like this weekend. Daredevil, no, I guess it was last week. Daredevil Remy Lucidi, 30, known for Instagram stunts, dies after falling 721 feet from the top of a 68-story Hong Kong skyscraper, having posted final photo from another high-rise moments earlier. Remy Lucidi, 30, fell from the top of a Hong Kong residential skyscraper. Known as Remy Enigma. I'm so interesting. Come back to my apartment, young lady, and see my fancy art collection. He's a dirtbag. He's a dirt. I'm a daredevil. I climb buildings. I am so interesting. Yeah, and now you're dead at 30. Known as Remy Enigma on social media, he had a history. Here's the thing. Check this out. Okay. this is a big story, and they're making it sound like, for those of us who don't understand, social media, and I understand social media a little bit because I rely on it so heavily, but most people don't understand social media. This dude had 3,000 followers. What? You're not famous. You don't get to have a big story written about you. Well, except that he climbed a building and fell off. But 3,000 followers doesn't make you some big Instagram star. Anyway, on the day of the accident, Lucidi had told security in the building that he was visiting a friend on the 40th floor. He did this in order to gain access to the tower's rooftop on the 68th floor. Some security in that building, huh? That's it? How'd he get up there? Well, he came in and he went to the security desk and he said he was visiting somebody on the 40th floor. Okay. Did you, then what happened? Well, we just pointed him towards the elevators and he went up. I mean, what kind of security is that? I know a lot of people who live in front desk protected buildings with security, and they always have to call up. They always have to acknowledge that, someone is there to meet them. What is this? What, seriously, how did he? Anyway, that's what he did. He went up, he climbed up, he got at the top of the building, he started taking some pictures. Look at me, look at me, look at me. And they think, here's what makes this even crazier. And again, I have a lot of empathy for people. I care. Remember my 4 tenets? Give a shit about other people. I do give a shit about other people. Not this one, though. I'm sorry. I don't give a shit. Apparently, this guy had an incident while he was outside the penthouse. So he was clinging to the side of the building outside the penthouse, and a woman cleaning the penthouse saw him outside and thought that maybe he was struggling to get in, but she didn't know what to do, and then he just fell. So he was like outside the window. Hey, I think I might have made a miscalculation. Muted pounding on the window. Because those windows in high-rise penthouses are thick. What a shame. He fell 721 feet to his death, and it's bound to happen. That's right there. That's kind of, you got to expect that when you are a daredevil. This is, I have a bit of a personal history with people falling out of tall buildings. When I lived in a high-rise downtown, when my son was very little, we got a knock on the door at like 3:30 in the morning on a Saturday night. I mean, it was loud. The doors, they were steel doors to begin with. These apartments were big, thick steel doors. And somebody started banging on the steel door with something steel. You know what I mean? It was like steel on steel at 3:30. Gong, gong, gong. I mean, it was crazy. Opened the door to see one of Dallas's finest, a police officer, using his flashlight. Gong, gong, gong. That's what the noise was. He says, is everybody okay? And I just woke up, and now my wife is coming out of the bedroom, and the baby's crying, and we're like, yeah, everything's okay. Why? What's going on? Is there a fire? Like, I thought that's my first thing. Was there a fire? We're being evacuated. And he goes, no. He goes, so is your window open? And I go, no, our windows aren't open. It's summertime. It's hot. And he said, can I come in? And I go, yeah, come on in. And he walks over, and we had, these were loft apartments. These were high-rise loft apartments. And we had floor-to-ceiling windows, probably like 20-foot windows along one of the entire walls. And somebody in the building had fallen out of a window. And the police thought they had come out of our window because when they were standing down by the body, they pointed up and they thought, so they came and they knocked on our door. Anyway, long story short, I went to take the dog out for a walk because now the dog's awake, 3:30 in the morning. What's going on? And I was also a bit curious as to what was happening at the lobby level of the building. I didn't at this point know what was about that. So I go out the side door, I go out the entrance's door, and my dog Blue at the time, she had one of those leashes, the retractable, the leashes that extend, like they're on there's like a little wheelhouse, and inside it, there's a cord and the dog can go. So it extends out to 40, 50 feet. She's got a little bit of room. So I open up the door to exit my building, and as I walk out, the dog bolts. Like the leash all of a sudden goes from just like 5 feet to now it's like 50 feet. And I hear a cop start screaming, hey, get that. And I come looking. That dead body was laying right on the sidewalk. A dude fell off the top floor of our building, landed on the sidewalk right out in front of our little exit where we walk the dog. And my dog ran up to, the door opens up. I saw it. I saw a body on the sidewalk after having fallen about 40 floors. And it was weird because it didn't do what you think. You think of a watermelon, right? You think that like it didn't burst. There was no burst. It was just, there was blood coming out of the mouth, the holes, the eye holes, like there was blood pouring out of the ears and puddling, but his body didn't burst. What a terrible conversation to be having. Anyway, I'll never forget that. I was like, human body's pretty strong. You would think it would burst like a water balloon. It didn't. It did not burst. It was just, I'm certain it was incredible. By the way, tragic story. Apparently he was just drunk and they were having a little get together after the bars closed on a Saturday night, and somebody opened up the window to smoke. Yeah, smoking kills. And apparently this person sat down on the ledge of the window and fell all the way down to the bottom on Ackerd Avenue in beautiful downtown Dallas. All right. That's it. I've seen a dead body that's fallen. Not 721 feet. This was 68 stories. Ours was only about 40, something like that. 68 stories. This dude fell. All right. Let me take a look quick around and see if there's anything else that we need to cover today, because I have now officially exhausted all of the things that we like to talk about here on the show. Once again, reminding you, end of the month, help keep this show going through August. We do this kind of talk radio because nobody else does. Non-divisive. We talk about anything. We try to all get together in one place every Monday through Friday at noon and hash it out like reasonable people. Okay, you're the reasonable people. I'm a bit of a flamboyant jerk. But point is this. Help us out. A little tip, something in the Venmo, something in the Cash App, all that stuff helps. And we really do appreciate it, because 100% this show is run by your kindnesses, and it is never more important than it is at this time of the week. All right. This time of the month, I should say. Why is Frisco trending? Okay. Frisco is now trending on, hold on. Let me see. Frisco is trending for beautiful Frisco, Texas, one of my favorite places on earth. Some of my favorite people live and reside in Frisco, Texas. Why is Frisco trending? A Frisco police terrorize a black family at gunpoint after a cop runs Arkansas plate numbers through the Arizona database and then assumes the car is stolen when the plates don't show up. They then force the entire family out of the car. Oh, there's an incident. Okay, so so a cop screws up okay. You know what? This is, you know what I'll say about this story? It's not the kind of story that I want to just start stream of consciousnessing about. This is a story that I need to learn more about before I start running my big fat mouth. You know what I mean? I want to at least have an understanding of what happened before I start discussing it. Because I'll tell you, the video that I'm looking at looks pretty hostile, but okay, moving on. Let's not. Boy. Paul Rubens, of course, is dead. Pee Wee Herman. Large Marge is trending. Gotta love that. Boy, why is Dylan Cease trending? Did we trade Dylan Cease? Nope. Okay. No, it doesn't look like we did. All right, guys, that's it. We're going to wrap it up. We will be back tonight at 9 o'clock for Radio Misfits Presents. Radio Misfits, 9 p.m. every Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Me and James Parker and E is enjoying a much-deserved vacation this week down there in the beautiful Bahamas, so he's not going to be with us. I'm going to try and reach out to Schwartz. I'm going to see if maybe he wants to come on. If not, maybe we'll find somebody else. Hell, maybe even Kelly. Think about Kelly. But Kelly can never get her camera working, and it's always, but we'll see. We'll figure something out. Hope you all have a great night. Again, tip the show if you can. Please help us out. This is the week where we got to push. I hate doing it. You know that I do, but I do appreciate that you guys have gotten us through. All right. Venmo, Cash App, bottom of the screen.
I have got my poetry.
Poetry.
I have got my songs.
He's got songs.
To see me through the lonely nights.
Lonely nights.
To be strong.
Not like to be strong.
I am like the dancing bear, trained to be the best. I am on a never-ending quest. I can smile.
I don't know. I'm like thinking, like, is there anything else? Is there anything else that really needs to be discussed? Netflix has a new series called How to Be a Cult Leader that a lot of people are talking about. I only got like 15 minutes into the first episode and I went, oh, I'm not learning anything here. And I moved on. It very much feels like the kind of thing that would be on TLC on a Tuesday night, but it's packaged in a ways to make us think it's important because it's on Netflix. So I wouldn't waste my time on that.
A little now, things are going good.
Things are going good,
Always
man.
had to be on guard. That is understood. It has been a journey.
Oh, for those of you who have, if you have access to Showtime, I can tell you something I watched this weekend. Watched it with my 14-year-old son, who wasn't watching it so much as he was playing a video game on his phone, and every now and again would look up at the TV and ask a question, like, "Wait, now who's that?" And I would tell him, and then he'd go back to his game and wasn't paying attention. If you have access to Showtime, there is a, in light of recent events, there's a fantastic documentary called Nothing Compares, which is basically the story of Sinead O'Connor and like how she started, where she came from, and then all the shit that, went through. So good. Really, really good. Interesting. I guess it'd been out for a couple of years because she's interviewed in it and, she talks about it and all the, I guess it's been out for a while, but I'd never seen it. If you have access to Showtime, it is really interesting, man. Sinead O'Connor, it's called Nothing Compares on Showtime. Very good. I need a really good Pee Wee Herman documentary. I would love to see, and not just like the bio, like biography. Paul, no, I need like.
I am on a never-ending quest.
Do you remember Paul Rubin before he was Pee Wee Herman? Like, do you guys? I don't know if you, maybe if you're Gen X, you do, because if you used to watch all the Cheech and Chong movies, Paul Rubens, the actor, was in the Cheech and Chong movies. Mr. Lizard, he was very funny, and there were moments where you could see the beginnings of the character of Pee Wee Herman, But for the most part, he was Paul Rubens. Famously played a waiter in a scene. He was the Mr. Lizard guy. That was where he was doing a little bit of Pee Wee there. Early Pee Wee. This is pre-Pee Wee. This is before Pee Wee was a thing. Paul Rubens appearing in Cheech and Chong movies. All right, we're out of here. I love you guys. See you tonight at 9:00. Bye.
I have found a different way, so baffling to some. I have got an old guitar, that is all I need. I don't need no 401, I don't have the greed. Down the road I'll travel, far from the comfort nest. I am on a never-ending quest. Tomorrow is another day, the best is yet to come. I have found a different way, so baffling to some. I can smile a little now, things are going good. I always had to be on guard, that is understood. Down the road I'll travel, far from the comfort nest. I am on a never-ending quest. I am on a never-ending quest.